Today we're just going to be talking about off-market properties, why it's advantageous to buy an off-market property, what are the risks, how do we source them, do we still need to do due diligence on them, and anything else related. So first I'll define it. So an off-market property is something that's not online. This can be, before it hits the market, maybe it was never intended to hit the market, or maybe it was on the market and they pulled it off because they couldn't sell it. Now, the advantage with off markets is more so in a competitive market. So if you're in a hot competitive market, everyone has eyeballs on properties, every property is getting multiple offers and it's going well above asking price. Those are the markets where off markets can be really advantageous. Less eyeballs, less competition, hopefully a better price. But sometimes it's not always the case. With every off market that you get, you still have to do your due diligence. You still have to make sure that it's not a dodgy property, because some sales agents will market off markets to you and call them exclusive when in fact they are duds. Like, they're on the main road, there might be something wrong with the property itself. It could be there could be any reason there as to why they're sort of putting it on off market, and you have to figure that out. That's really important. Sometimes it could just be an innocent thing. It could just be that maybe there's tenants in the property and it's hard to advertise, so they'll sell it off market. Maybe it's a financial thing. Maybe they need the money quickly, or they need to sell quickly, or they don't want to pay for marketing, so they just want to sell it off market. So always figure out what the agent is trying to do, or why the agent is presenting a property off market. Now, how to sort of take a lot of this risk away is obviously starting off with having a strong a relationship with the sales agent. If it's just someone that you've met over the phone a few times, you don't know who they are, but if, like us as buyers agents, we've transacted with them on multiple purchases, we sort of know how they think, and if they're being genuine, if they're being honest, we can sort of tell that over the first few transactions. But I think overall, make sure you trust that person. Go meet them in person. Have a coffee with them, have a chat with them before you start, doing deals with them. I think that's the best way. You can sort of see through a lot of the fluff, a lot of the charisma they put on to build rapport with yourself as well as a buyer. So you can see through all that if you meet up with them in person and have a good heart-to-heart chat. Now, how we find these off-market properties? Again, it comes back to strong sales agent relationships. You have to meet them. They have to like you to give you the good stuff. Otherwise, they'll give you exclusive off-markets which aren't really fantastic. So just it's all based on agent relationships. Now there are a few other ways you can find off markets. You can try and go to sellers directly, but that's very rare. You're banking on something that might not happen for months, and in a moving market that can cost you thousands of dollars. So go straight to the sales agents, figure out who they are, and then start working with them. Now the other thing is, if you go to a particular suburb where all they do is auctions and it's really tightly held, sometimes, even if it is a competitive market, sometimes you're wasting your time trying to find an off-market property. Because I know, for example, like, I'm based in Thomastown in Melbourne. I know, for example, in Thomastown, I know who to talk to about off-markets, but most of the stuff that's listed off-market in that area, they're bodgy properties, and then every good property is taken to auction, and it's good for the seller, it's not good for the buyer. But these sales agents, they're very tightly held in this pocket. They don't like to share too much. They say pretty much 99.99% of properties go to market. So yeah, again, coming back to wasting your time, if you're trying to buy into a market like this and you're trying to save like 10, 15K or 20 grand buying off market, the time it takes for you, 3, 4, 5 months to find that off market that actually ticks the boxes will cost you more than that. In a moving market, it could be moving 10 grand a month. It could cost you 40, 50, 60 grand. So you have to pair how you're going to buy this property with the context of that particular suburb and your strategy as well. So I hope that clarifies anything. There's no hype about off markets. Off markets can be just as good as on markets. Deals can be just as bad or good as on markets. I hope this helps. See you in the next video.